it's Ginny from Homestead Corner, and today I've got 8 of the most overlooked survival skills. There are lots and lots of survival skills that we should be learning, and a lot of times we tend to focus on just a few survival skills. I think 8 of the most overlooked skills, some of those skills can definitely be a lifesaver, and a few of them will definitely make your life easier in case of a disaster. Number 1, tracking game. In a long-term food shortage or disaster, you could be forced to hunt. And a lot of times it looks really easy. But honestly, to consistently put food on the table, you have to be able to track animals, because you are not going to be able to go to the same spot. After a couple of times, they are going to get the message and they're not going to come that way anymore. It's really important, I think, to learn how to track animals and find where they're moving. And because they're usually moving around during the day, you can find all kinds of different markings and things like that, their droppings. I think it's great to learn that skill, because in a long-term situation, you're not going to be going to the grocery store most likely, and if you do, there may not be any meat. So knowing that you're going to be able to track an animal and consistently put food on the table is definitely a wonderful skill to have. Number 2, primitive tool making skills. I think this is so important. Even if you have a large stockpile of hand tools and things like that, things break, they get lost, they get damaged. Someone might steal them. I think it's important to know how to make some tools, or quite a few tools that you think you might use. Learn how to make them out of stuff that you find or things like that. Primitive tool making can be a lifesaver when things are a long-term disaster. Number 3, woodworking and carpentry. I think these are excellent skills to have, and I think they are really important. If your table breaks or your chair breaks in a long-term emergency, you are going to need to be able to fix that. If you only have one chair and it breaks, you're going to need to either build something that will support you. Believe me, the first time I attempted to build a chair, it wouldn't even support a plant pot, which was very pathetic. And I wouldn't listen to my husband, who was a carpenter for 20 plus years, because I wanted to do it and I was going to do it my way. So I'm telling you, learning these skills, and there are tons of ways to learn this. There are books, there are videos. You can find local carpentry classes, all kinds of stuff. Not master furniture builder, although that's great if you're wonderful at making fine furniture. But I think having those rough carpentry skills, so you can repair a broken door or a broken roof or something like that. If you could just get through those situations, you know, some rough build stuff. It doesn't have to be fancy, you know, but something that will support the weight of a human being and not a plant pot. Mine wouldn't even support a plant pot. That was pretty sad. But those skills are super important, I think, just to have, and there are a bunch of ways to learn it. Number 4, knot tying. Knot tying, a lot of people will think that's Boy Scout stuff, but realistically, if you are out there and you had to bug out in the woods, you are going to want some knot tying skills for constructing a shelter, putting a rig together for fishing, tying the fishing line so it doesn't come undone. If you get a decent sized fish, you want that knot to be nice and tight and it's going to stay together. You don't want it unraveling and losing that fish when that might be the only dinner this week. You can also use that knot tying for making traps and snares and things like that to catch small, tiny game. You know, in an emergency situation, that can come in so handy. And there are lots of ways to learn that. There are videos out there on knots, books, all kinds of stuff. You can find tons of knot tying books right online. They're fairly inexpensive, and I think knot tying is one that most people don't really look at. Number 5, lock picking. I'm not encouraging anybody to go breaking into anybody's place. But in an emergency situation, if you are out in the cold and rain and it is freezing out, you could literally die if you're stuck out there. If you came across a vacant cabin or garage or something that nobody was in, I think that is completely justified to save your life to go inside just to get dry and warm. You know, I don't believe in breaking into other people's property, but if you are just going in to get dry and warm, I think most people wouldn't even have a problem with it, someone going in to do that. Number 6, hand-to-hand combat, unarmed combat, I've also heard it called. Whatever you call it, it's, you know, you can definitely, if your rifle breaks, something breaks in it, or you run out of bullets, you busted all your arrows or lost them, you have nothing else, you know, hand-to-hand combat can come in really, really handy if you know what you're doing. You can protect yourself, you know, I think it is a great way to go. I think it's important. It's a great self-defense also, so you can protect yourself. And there are tons of classes everywhere, because it's not just preppers that are looking for this stuff. A lot of people just want to learn it, you know, and you could do a whole different number of things, like a boxing class or like jiu-jitsu or some kind of karate or something like that. I think would be wonderful, so you could protect yourself. You know, if you are not prepared, and a lot of people will have a gun in the house, they don't have one out in the yard, you know, and if someone comes and happens upon you when you're out in the yard, are you going to be able to get to your gun fast enough? I think it's really important to know hand-to-hand combat of some sort to be able to protect yourself and, you know, get them down on the ground so they can't hurt you. Number 7, people skills. That is another one of those things. And I'm not talking about, you know, everyday chit chat with the guy in the store, but learning to trust other people just enough so you can get a group of people together. A lot of preppers are in that solitary mindset, myself included. You know, I can't say I'm not. I don't trust a lot of people to let them know what I'm doing, where I'm doing it, what's happening. You know, it's one of those things. But as they always say, we are stronger in numbers, and we are. If you can get together with a group of like-minded individuals, you don't have to tell them all about all your stuff. Just other people that want to help other people out. Trading skills, bartering, things like that, just helping each other can really build a relationship, so you are able to, in a disaster situation, you would be able to, you know, talk with them and comfortably work out some kind of deal to help each other along the way. And I think that is a wonderful thing. If you've got someone to lean on, we are stronger in numbers. Number 8, being frugal. I think being frugal is quite a wonderful skill. When we take and start to live below our means and not be so extravagant, we're able to make it easier. In times of a collapse or a disaster, it's not going to be such a shock on you to have all that extra stuff ripped away. You know, you are going to already be used to dealing with less. Being more creative and repurposing stuff and things like that, I think are wonderful. And using that creative side to see where you can cut and save, and you can live better with less money. Really, it can be done. We try to live on the least amount of money and still live well. You know, we're not going without anything, but we love to recycle things, repurpose things, find other ways around it. A couple of weeks ago, on New Year's Day actually, my husband was getting wood out off the back porch, and he hit the little dryer vent thing, the little plastic thing where the air comes out. He hit that with a piece of wood on accident, and it disintegrated into pieces. Of course, no stores open for me to get anything, but a couple of sticks of wood and a piece of metal, it actually looks better than the store one, and that thing is going to be sturdy for years and years and years. Not like that little cheap thing you get at the store. So, you know, just being creative with it really, and finding other ways to get things done, I think are super important, and it will really help you in the long run. If there is a huge depression, economic collapse, anything like that, you are already going to be used to recycling, thinking outside the box, doing things a little bit different. It's going to make life so much easier for you and really help you get through anything like that. And that is it for today. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe. We'll see you in the next video. Bye!